They're gonna cut out the tears and stuff, right? My name is Steve Ellswick. I grew up in the eastern Kentucky coal mining part of the state, rural area. We kind of had to make our own fun. We had games like play with a stick, stuff like that. We didn't have a lot of toys. I started using it at an early age because it was something to do. About 12, I started experimenting with marijuana, and I had two goals when I was about 13, 14 years old. I wanted to smoke as much pot as I could and grow my hair as long as I could, and that was one thing I wanted to accomplish out of life.
Did you use any other drugs aside from marijuana?
That started progression, alcohol, whatever. I'd go to parties and whatever they had at parties, I did some hallucinogenics, other stuff, and then eventually I wound up doing the thing I thought I'd never do. I was at a party one time. I was in my late teens, and they were doing some stuff in the back room. I went back there and I stuck my arm out, and I found not only my drug of choice, but I found my method of choice. And I became an IV user.
How did your use progress? Did you become a daily user?
Yeah, the IV wasn't daily as much. It was a part-time thing. I didn't really, I was doing, I wasn't really doing I was doing like cocaine, so I could do it on occasion. And I didn't progress until heroin until my late 30s. And then it became like every 2 or 3 days or something like that, But, and it was progression, and it cost me relationships and jobs and things like that. But for a while I was functional as a functional using addict.
When did you know that you had to stop using?
Divorce, loss of jobs, outside consequences mostly, and then the feelings, I've been clean 18 years in May. I'm 62, so I quit, 42? So I used from like 30 years. And it took a while before the progression got to the point where, it was an everyday thing. I became homeless, in and out of jail, prison time, things like that. I got really, really good at barely getting by. And I went from, like old boy said, I went from being on top of the world to the world was on top of me, and I didn't know how it happened. And I tried several times to get clean, but the problem was I couldn't stay clean.
What would you like the community to know about substance use disorder?
It's not I think a lot of people think it's a choice. It's a choice to. I can compare it to cancer. It's a choice to smoke cigarettes, but it's not a choice to get cancer. It's a choice I made to get started with drugs, but it wasn't a choice to become an addict. And addiction is a disease. That's obsessive compulsion is my biggest problem. And it goes more deeper than just the drugs or the alcohol. Obsession with money, obsession with people, obsession with women. And then the obsession is a thought that just takes over everything. And then the compulsion is I can't stop. I've got to take some kind of action behind it. I don't know, the community, they kind of see two different types of addicts. Addicts that use a certain substance or worse than addicts that, I think an addict is an addict, whether you use alcohol, drugs, IV, or whatever. It's not the substance as much as the individual, and it involves a whole lot more than just stopping using. We have to learn how not to use. I can't take a habit out without putting a new habit in.
What would you like others who are struggling with a substance use disorder to know about seeking treatment and or recovery?
It takes what it takes. If you don't make it the first time, keep coming back, as they say. Don't give up. I had like a 10-year career of in and out of treatment centers, in and out of recovery houses. I stopped using heroin long before I quit using anything else. And I thought it was okay the justification and rationalization that we use, you have to face the truth. That's, you know, for me, I use it because I wanted to, not because of the substance, not because of the circumstances. That's, you know, mom dies, you have breakups, you have relationships, you lose jobs. But the reason I use it is because I wanted to, and I got where I couldn't stop. And other addicts, they need to realize that, but it takes a while, you know. I think if an addict, usually three things that stops an addict from becoming in recovery. Either they don't think they're an addict, the disease hasn't progressed far enough where they need help, or they're not addicts, they're just an occasional user, you know. And there are some people that can use on occasion and they're not overrun their life.
What has been the most challenging aspects for you personally in trying to remain substance free?
Dealing with emotions, deaths in family. I lost my mother when I was using, and I used that for an excuse to use on a daily basis. I lost my biological father because I was adopted at an early age. I lost my biological father when I was clean, and I was able to maintain. You know, we had formed some kind of relationship. It wasn't a real good relationship, but I was able to maintain and go through the feelings, and you know, everyday life. You know, mountains out of molehills. A flat tire to you is just a flat tire. To me, it's the end of the world. You know, so just putting things in perspective. You know, not letting things get too out of hand. You know, don't let things become overwhelmed that are not overwhelming.
This is a two-part question. How have people helped you along the way? And how have well-meaning people hindered you in your progress?
I've had so many people help me with like say, in and out of the treatment centers I've been in 10 years, and I heard things, but I didn't really listen until years later, you know, and being exposed to those things brought back some things, and they never gave up on me, you know. I was always homeless, and there were several places I could go back to for treatment. I think some of the ways that people have hindered me is they love me too much. You know, I had a family member, when my mom passed, my sister kind of took over her position, and she was my biggest enabler. But it got to the point where one day I showed up at her house, and she said, "You can't come back here anymore." And I didn't stop using then, but that experience stayed with me. And, you know, I wanted to be a productive member. I wanted to be part of the family, you know. And eventually, you know, that haunted me.
When you were struggling the most, how did your life look on the outside versus how it looked on the inside to you?
I would say I could be a poster child for the using addict, and I was out on the streets. I was dirty, homeless, no showers. I knew where to get the free meals. I'd walk into the stores, and people would, because of the smell, body odor would get away from me, and you know, and that was the outside experience. The inside experience was I didn't really like myself that much, and it got to a point. It didn't start off that way, but every time I used, I got mad at myself, and the more I used, the angrier I got. You know, because I tried on willpower, and that didn't work, and I finally realized that I needed something else, a power greater than me, to help me. And that was the inside job.
What strategies do you use every day to refrain from returning to use?
I'm involved in a 12-step program. I have a sponsor. I work with the steps, which the steps are written for guiding principles in my life that I didn't have. Honesty, open-mindedness, willingness are some of the main ingredients of my life today. You know, the biggest thing is being honest with myself. And I've had to learn how to do that because I rationalized and justified and was so self-deceptive for so many years that I believed what I said, you know. So now, you know, when I write, when I get my thoughts together, I put it down on paper and I look at it and I say, you know, that's not true. and I still have to go through that self-honesty thing. And I stay connected in the community. With the pandemic, I don't go to any person-to-person meetings anymore. I stay connected with people in the local community. But the pandemic has been a blessing and a curse. We have viral meetings now that are open all over the world. I have been to meetings in Nepal. I've been to meetings in Chicago. I can sit at my house and talk to people all over the place and get a different perspective on recovery and finding out it's not so much what I need to do, is finding out what other people did when they went through circumstances like I'm going through with health issues, deaths in family. I have a sister who's facing a life crisis right now and dealing with those emotions, and I have a community network that's worldwide now, you know, that I can seek help if I just ask for it.
What was the hardest part about stopping?
Losing the desire. You know, I could get 30 days, 60 days, and then all of a sudden I just want to get high. You know, I don't know why. I think, like I say, the disease of addiction was there. It's like, you know, my cancer goes into remission. I'd go into remission, and then it would resurface. And it always resurfaced. And it didn't have to be something bad that happens. It could be something good. You know, I could find a $5 bill and say, oh, okay, let's go get high. Or I could be broke and say, okay, let's go get high. You know, just dealing with those things again. I think that answered the question, right?
Yes. Was there a time, or maybe more than one time, when you wanted to quit, but you either couldn't or you didn't know how?
Man, the last time I was using, I was in Georgia, and I would go out and get as much dope as I could, and I started shooting dope again, and I would get mad when I would pass out and come to. I wanted to die, but I didn't have the courage to do suicide, but I thought, you know, I could do an overdose. But for some reason, the power greater than me stepped in. I know it sounds funny, but I wanted to die with dope on the table and like be a urban legend. Like Steve had so much dope he couldn't do it all, you know. And that's my addict thinking. But and I'd wake up, like I say, I'd nod out and I'd wake up and I don't know how long I'd be out, but I'd just be mad because I was alive and have to go through that on a daily basis.
For someone who loves someone with a substance use disorder, what should they do to help them?
As little as possible. You have to reach out. I still have using addicts in my life. I'm real careful about, you know, how I associate with them. I have a sponsee who has gone back out, and he calls me a couple of times a week and check in. He still uses, but I don't associate with him, you know, I don't offer any money, anything like that. You know, the best thing you can do is say, when you get ready for help, let me know, and I'll help you that way. And you know, seek, if you love someone, seek outside advice on how to do that. There's several family groups that the 12-step fellowships have. And even if your loved one is not in recovery, going to that will help you to learn how to deal with an active addict.
Yeah, it goes back to what you said earlier about helping versus enabling.
Yeah, it's a thin line. Yeah, you know, you can love someone to death.
The last question we have for you is, how is your life different now?
Man, I wake up wanting to wake up. I'm able to go through trials and tribulations, and I don't have to use. I get emotional, I'm sorry, but it's like anything I've never experienced before. It's so much freedom, but I have to be careful with the freedom, you know, because I am an addict. I have a disease that doesn't go away, but I love myself today, and I'm able to love other people. I think that's the biggest thing.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, I'm going to cut out the tears. So. I can't help it. I get emotional when I talk about
Anything
it.
else you want to add? Anything else you want to do?
Yeah, if there's anything you'd like to say that we haven't touched on.
I don't know. Like I say, if I was a way I could give this to other addicts and I didn't have to work for it, I wouldn't. Because working for it is what makes it real and what makes it worth. Like buying your first car. When you buy that car, it's your car. And you have to go what you got to go through. I tell addicts that all the time. My journey and your journey is different. And in recovery, my journey is different than other people's journey. How I got here and how I stay here. I think how I got here is a result of what I did, and how I stay here is a result of the people in the fellowship, the recovery program, and how they helped me and they didn't judge me, and they related, and that identification was what I needed. I was lacking where other places where I'd been, where they just said you need to stop. But what do I do now? The program gave me a way to live, not only just use drugs. I have principles in my life today. Like I say, I can be honest, I can be responsible, and that's about it, I guess.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yep.